What the hell is that? There's some kind of alien flying creature. Hello the internet and welcome back to Road Hazard. In this episode we're going to drop the fuel tank. We're going to braze the filler on properly instead of with JB Weld. And we're also going to make some adjustments to our fuel sending unit in the tank because it does not read accurately, and I sure would appreciate it if it did before we hit the road for Power Tour, which is, as of right now, as I'm filming this, 2 weeks away. Let's get started.
Yeah, you heard me correctly. I said Power Tour was 2 weeks away. No, you didn't fall into a coma and sleep for a few months. This video was filmed back in May of 2025, which is why I can be seen here in my brother's garage with the old Route 66 Buick. I no longer live in that house or own that car, but I did film this video and then promptly forget about it. In fact, the only reason I found it at all was because I was importing video files for two completely separate videos that I'm working on and found a folder on my YouTube drive called New Folder. Oops. Anyway, it felt wrong to just throw it out, so I scabbed it together in the hatchet fashion you've come to expect from me and barfed it up all over the tube. You're welcome.
This is what I'm talking about. I don't know how well you can see back there, but we've got our zip ties there, and then there's some JB putty smeared around the base. And it is holding, but I know this is temporary because I've done this a few times, and the putty always breaks and comes off. It doesn't seem to want to adhere to the tank when gas is present, which is funny because it's supposed to be fuel resistant putty, but I digress. So we're gonna drop the tank, fix all that stuff, and we'll have a functional fuel sending unit and hopefully a fuel filler neck that doesn't leak when I park at any sort of incline. Step one is, of course, getting all the fuel that's in the tank out of the tank. And to do that, I purchased myself one of these. I've always called it a safety siphon. I don't know what the rest of the world calls it. This is a self-priming jiggler pump. So it's got a little fitting with a marble in it, and you stick it in the tank and you shake, 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 and that starts a siphon, and then it flows like 3 gallons a minute, something like that. It's pretty quick. And I got a steel can to put that all in. I've got another plastic can down there. There should be like 12 or 13 gallons in the tank. I've got 10 gallons worth of holding capacity here, so it looks like my brother's car is going to get a few gallons of free fuel. And then, of course, we've got some Weld brazing rod. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that gasoline out of there because we don't need it where we're going. fuel is out of it, we get the straps. And my tank has jam nuts. So we'll take those off first. And then before we pull the tank out, we got to disconnect everything on the front still. That's going to be the feed line and the vent, basically, and that is it. Feed line, cable, vent. Once those are off, we can drop the tank. It's nice and empty. Under normal circumstances, you probably wouldn't want to be under, you know, a fuel line that you're pulling off, but there won't be much in it. Yeah, we'll just tuck that up there, and then we've got our ground for the sender and power there, just a little stud. We'll pull that off. We'll do the vent first because it's right here. Ah, man, there was more fuel in the vent than there was in the feed hose. Never mind, there's fuel in there too. Man, it is crazy how much that little fan actually helps. It would probably be smart to disconnect the battery. You know, such is the case when you do just about anything electrical, but we're not going to do that because the battery's all the way over there. And I'm already here. Not long enough. Trusty straight through sockets. This tank is super light with nothing in it, as you might imagine. So exactly how I was gonna do that, but it didn't hit me and it's out, so victory. And there is our suitcase tank. This should be pretty standard on most A-body stuff. Chevelles, GTOs, whatever, should all use pretty much this tank. It's a 20-gallon unit. There's like 0.1 of a gallon left in the bottom there. I'll dump that, and then we'll knock the sender out, and we'll rinse it out with water just so there's no gas in it at all, so that when we go and start brazing it, we don't blow up, because I don't want to blow up. Pickup on the end of that. Is it still in there? I didn't see it. So normally there's a little extension that goes on the end of this that has like a little filter on it, a little sock. The way this is set up now, empty really is where it's not going to suck any more fuel, because it's the end of that. So even though there's still be gas in the tank, it won't be able to reach it because there's nothing there. I was not expecting that. So, alright then. So here's the plan. I've got the sending unit here. I couldn't get one at any local parts store, so we're gonna get creative. I also couldn't get the sock because why would you carry something so frivolous, right? You're an auto parts store. How crazy would it be if you sold auto parts? Anyway, I got a little piece of rubber hose. This is fuel line. I'm going to stick it on the end like that to drop it down, you know, another couple of inches. Not couple of inches, about an inch, just to get it to the bottom of the tank. And I figure I use rubber because, you know, as it gets down there, when it hits the bottom, it'll kind of kink out a little, and it'll sit pretty flat. But because it's thick, it won't suction itself to the bottom of the tank, and I should be able to get a little more out of it. Get the clamp positioned on there like so. And get the angle of the dangle right. Get that on there. And we'll cinch that down tight. We do have a filter on the outlet of our tank. Always have. So don't worry about that, but now we've got that clamped on there pretty good, and that should reach that bottom. I'm going to stick it in there real quick and have a look. Pretty good. Yeah, see? It's wet, even from the 0.1 gallon of gas that's in there. So that's a success. And you've got just a little bit of fuel that it'll pick up when this shows empty, so that, you know, if you're stupid and you drive it on E for a little while, you don't completely run out of gas, which I usually don't do, but I'm like a fill it at a quarter tank kind of person. But I'm not the only person who drives this car. It's not super often that other people drive this car, and I'm usually in the car when it happens. But, you know, future, you never know. I might forget that I did this and then never fix it, you know, we don't want somebody else to run out of gas because the gauge isn't accurate. So I think that little tiny kink we put in it is just about perfect. So I was outside flushing the tank out to get all the crap off of it, all the gas out of it before I braze it, and I found this. So I can take that back off and stick that on, and you know, all will be well. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of wondering if maybe I can I don't know, we'll figure something out. If it looks stupid but works, is it still a bad idea? I found the sock. It was in the bottom of the tank. However, the press fit was not press fitting. It would slip and slide all over the tube. So I devised a system here to do two things. Firstly, I extended it by about half an inch. And secondly, I actually attached it properly. In which I mean it won't fall off again. So I took a piece of 3/8 fuel line, and I crammed it over the end of the sock, and then I hose clamped it on. And then I hose clamped that piece of fuel line to the sending pipe. And the end of that pipe is right about here. So I extended it by about half an inch to get it all the way into the bottom of the tank. I just test fit it with the tank in the driveway. It does fit. It sits about like that, kind of pushes up just a little bit. And then I put a little bit of a kink in the level gauge there. So as it sits at empty, it is right at empty. So that should be accurate. It should be, it'll reach all the fuel in the tank now, and it won't come apart. So now that we've got that repaired, we can get it back in the tank after we've brazed the filler neck on and done all that fun stuff. So I just pressure washed the tank. I'll go we'll go take a look at it in a second here. But we're going to fill it up with water, and then we're going to braise the neck on it. And after that, we'll reinstall this, throw it back in the car, hook everything back up, and we'll put 5 gallons in it, and that is a 20-gallon tank. So that should read about 1/4 of a tank on our old gauge here. And if it does, we've done it correctly. If not, we can always pull it back out and readjust it. Will we? Probably not, but better is better. So as you saw, the inside of the tank was already pretty much perfect. This is the top. It was dirty, but not crummy or crusty. Remember, all that junk that was on there is all pretty much gone now. All that scones that was on the sides, we just hit it with some degreaser and then pressure washed it, and it came out beautiful. This tank isn't that old. There's a little bit of water still in it. So we will pump a little bit more water in it. We'll prop it up. I'll go grab the filler neck, we'll clean it up, and we'll grab our brazing rod, and we will start the process of brazing the filler neck into the tank. Alright, the tank is full of water. I've got my brazing rod and my torch, and we're gonna get after it and hope I don't explode. So if I do explode, at least the camera will have a pretty good view of it. It's not hardening quite like I thought it was gonna. I might have got the wrong kind of filler rod. Counts Customs. I'll be waiting for that filling call. I'm gonna put some of that JB fuel tank putty over that just to kind of seal in the flavor, but I think that's gonna stick. All right, we got mud setting on there now. It's been on there for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. We'll give it another 15 or so to really set. It really does, anchor down in about 5, but I like to really make sure. And then we went ahead and tapped this back in too. That's all set up in there. Should be ready to go basically. So as soon as we're finished waiting for that to cure, we can take our tank and throw it back in the car, and then we'll throw 5 gallons of gas in it, see what the gauge says, and we'll hope and pray that it's accurate. I've got the siphon on. You can see the needles just coming off empty. Gravity and the siphon pulling fuel from the 5-gallon tank into the gas tank, which is all plumbed up. Don't see any leaks. That's pretty good, at least yet. Once that 5 gallons is in it, the gauge should read about 1/4 of a tank ish. So as long as it's close, I'm okay with that. When it was empty, it did read empty, like all the way down. So we just gotta let this tank finish and give it another check. That can is empty. It wasn't completely full, and I spilled a little bit, so it's probably 4 1/4, 4 1/2 gallons. Let's see what the gauge says. Just under 1/4. You know what? I'm calling that a win. The good news is I waited 758 degrees to do this. So that's pretty good. Alright, the siphon has emptied 90% of that. So now we go in with the funnel and get the last quarter gallon or so. Yep. Alright. Empty can. Just under half a tank, like I said. So that's perfect. So now the fuel sending unit on the car is adjusted to perfection. It has a sock on it now that'll actually reach all the fuel in the tank. And we got it all cleaned out and put back together. I think the only thing left to do is fire it up and see if it still pulls fuel. It should. I didn't change anything there, but if it doesn't, obviously we'll be draining it and pulling it back out again. And we're good. Still have fuel pressure. Runs good. Doesn't appear to be leaking. I'm sweating profusely. But it's a job well done, I think. We're at a slight decline here, so it went up a little, but it was just a tick under half, which is right where it should have been. I'm calling that a success. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every like, every comment, every subscriber. I read everyone. Appreciate you guys. While we're on that note, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button for me? Helps a lot with the algorithm. Lets me know what you guys like and don't like. Hit the subscribe button so you can see when new content comes out. And, hell, we'll see you guys next time.